In the sleepy town of Harrowville, where every street whispered secrets of its own, there lay an old school building. Abandoned and decrepit, it stood like a ghostly sentinel at the edge of town. For years, the townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about the strange happenings within its crumbling walls. But tonight we delve deeper into the sinister history of Harrowville School. Beware, for some doors once opened can never be closed again. The first chill of autumn had settled over Harrowville when a group of friends decided to explore the old school building. Emily, a curious and brave teenager, had always been fascinated by the tales of hauntings and mysterious disappearances that surrounded the place. With her were Tom, her steadfast best friend, Jake, the skeptic of the group, and Sarah, whose fear often led her to seek the comfort of her friend's bravery. As they approached the building, the wind seemed to whisper warnings through the broken windows. The school's once grand facade was now a skeletal reminder of its past, with ivy crawling up its walls like desperate fingers reaching for escape. "Are we really doing this?" Sarah's voice trembled as she clutched Emily's arm. "We have to," Emily replied, determination shining in her eyes. "We've heard the stories, but now it's time to see the truth for ourselves." They pushed open the heavy wooden doors, which groaned in protest. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint scent of decay. Their footsteps echoed through the empty halls, each sound amplifying the eerie silence that enveloped them. Tom held up his flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness. "Remember, stick together. We don't want anyone getting lost." As they ventured deeper, they found themselves in what had once been the heart of the school, the assembly hall. Rows of broken chairs faced a stage draped in tattered curtains. It was here that they felt the first tangible sense of unease. Emily shivered, not from the cold, but from the oppressive atmosphere that seemed to press down on them. Suddenly, Jake's flashlight flickered and went out. "Great, just great," he muttered, smacking it in frustration. "Stay calm," Tom said, his voice steady despite the growing tension. "Let's keep moving. We can check out the classrooms next." They entered the first classroom, where desks were overturned and books lay scattered, as if the students had fled in a hurry. Emily picked up a dusty journal from the floor. She flipped through its pages, stopping at a passage that made her blood run cold. "Listen to this," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "It says the shadows come at night, creeping closer with each passing hour. We tried to leave, but the doors wouldn't open. We're trapped." A sudden crash from the hallway made them all jump. "What was that?" Sarah's voice was a thin thread of panic. "Probably just the wind," Jake said, though his face had lost its color. They hurried back into the hallway, their nerves frayed. The temperature seemed to drop as they moved further into the building. They came upon a staircase leading to the basement, where the darkness seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "Do we really have to go down there?" Sarah pleaded, her eyes wide with fear. Emily took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "We can't turn back now. We're almost there." The descent into the basement felt like stepping into another world. The air was damp and musty, and the walls were covered in strange markings. As they reached the bottom, the sound of dripping water echoed around them. Tom shone his flashlight around, revealing an old boiler room. At the far end, they saw a figure standing in the shadows. It was a child, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, her eyes hollow and vacant. "Who are you?" Emily called out, her voice trembling. The girl didn't respond. Instead, she pointed towards a large, rusted door. The friends exchanged nervous glances. Tut felt compelled to follow her silent direction. With great effort, they pushed the door open, revealing a small room filled with old desks and a chalkboard. On the board, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Help us." Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. The temperature plummeted, and they could see their breath in the air. The whispers began, low and unintelligible at first, but growing louder and more insistent. "Let us out," Sarah screamed, pounding on the door. Emily looked around frantically, her eyes landing on a corner of the room where a faint glow emanated. She approached it, finding a hidden compartment. Inside, there was a stack of old photographs. They showed children, their faces twisted in fear, standing in the very room they were in. "The children, they're trapped here," Emily said, her voice breaking. "We need to help them." Tom grabbed her arm. "How? We can't even help ourselves." Emily looked at the photographs again, then at the chalkboard. Maybe we need to finish what they started." She picked up a piece of chalk and wrote, "We will help you." The room seemed to sigh in relief, and the whispers grew softer. The door slowly creaked open, and the friends stumbled out, gasping for air. The little girl stood in the hallway, her eyes no longer empty, but filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered before fading into the darkness. The friends hurried out of the school, the night air feeling like a blessing against their skin. As they reached the safety of the street, they turned to look back at the building. It stood silent and still, but they knew the spirit within had found peace. From that night on, the stories of Harrowville School took on a new meaning. It was no longer just a place of fear, but a reminder of the power of compassion and the enduring strength of friendship.